Well, good morning, good afternoon. Wherever you are in the world, it's still a great day to be part of Win with Willie live broadcast, leadership talk show. And we just thank God that you're with us today. This is another exciting day. This is Wednesday, I believe, middle of the week. Some people would call it hump day, but it's Wednesday in the middle of the week. What we do not see, what most of us never suspect of existing, is a silent but irresistible power which comes to rescue to those who fight on in the face of discouragement. And that's by Napoleon Hill. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We all have that silent, irresistible power to fight on within us in the face of opposition. And Win with Willie Talk Show is all about encouraging us to fight on, lead on, serve on, grow on, and reaching our fullest potential, because the best version of ourselves is so we can become the best version of ourselves. The best gift you can give your family, your community, and your organization is the best version of yourself. But how do you become the best version of yourself? We must first learn to lead ourselves, and then we can lead others. Hey, guess what? You cannot give what you do not have. And today, I have the distinct privilege of sharing the stage with United States Air Force retired. Did I say that? Retired. He doesn't look retired. You see the face. He's still like a young blood. But retired Colonel Kenn Allison. Let me read Colonel Allison's bio. You might want to take some notes because it's highly impressive. You might want to record this so you can play it over and over again. Colonel retired Kenn Allison is an inspiring educator, and he's very young, a mentor, a leader, and because must I say this, he's an Aggie. He's an Aggie. Gig 'em Aggies. He is the associate director for the Hollingsworth Center for Ethical Leadership at Texas A&M University, College Station, Texas, where he's responsible for the Career Readiness Program for over 2,200 member Corps cadets. Colonel Allison coaches, advise, and help cadets prepare to be successful transition into their future careers. These young men and women becoming military officers. He also serves as the Corps Cadets Relations Representative for student employment, including internships and full-time employment, and teaches the fundamentals of intentional leadership course. Did you get that? Intentional leadership course. Colonel Allison graduated from Texas A&M University with a bachelor's of science degrees in industrial engineering. This gentleman is pretty smart engineering. As a member of the Corps Cadets in the Air Force Reserve Officer Training Corps, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force in December 1985. Now I just dated him. Now you getting his birthdays. Now you doing the math. So he's not a young person. He just looks young. He is a career space professional with over 25 years experience in space operations, engineering, and acquisition for the Department of Defense and National Intelligence Community Space System. Prior to assuming his current position, Colonel Allison served as the professor for aerospace studies and the commander of the Air Force Reserve Officer Training Corps at Texas A&M University. Colonel Allison previously commanded the Space Operations Squadron at Aerospace Data Facility, Buckley Air Force Base, Colorado, and was the former Vice Wing Commander of the 50th Space Wing at Schrievel Air Force Base, Colorado. Colonel Allison has a Master's of Science degree in Space Operations from the Air Force Institute of Technology and a Master's of Military Operational Art and Science from the Air Command and Staff College, United States Air Force. He's also served as a Space Operations Research Fellow with the RAND Corporation in Santa Monica, California. But let me tell you what's most important about this gentleman here. This young colonel. Colonel Allison was born in Carthage, Texas, and graduated from Carthage High School. He is married to the former Cherie Kelly, also of Carthage, Texas. And they have right there, folks. Of all those accolades of Colonel Allison, he is married to Cherie Allison of Carthage, Texas, and they have 4 children. Colonel Allison, say hello to the crowd, sir.
All right. Hello, everyone. Jeff, I don't know what to do after that kind of introduction. I think we just call it a day, pass the plate, do a little collection and be done with it. Amen, brother.
You notice you said pass the plate. He must have a lot of church growing up, a lot of church background when he said pass the plate. That's absolutely right. Pass the plate. As we say in the new days, we say drop the mic and go home.
Yeah. Back in our day, they say pass the plate and call
pass the plate. Pass the plate. That way we can go out to dinner after we get the money out of the plate.
Exactly.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having some levity and some fun with Colonel Allison. He is a great gentleman. I won't tell you my tenure. I've known him a long time, but I'll let him talk about that a long, long time. So, Colonel Allison, before we get started about all your accolades and all the great things you have done serving this country and serving this world as a global leader, just want to lighten the load a little bit, ask you a few things, some fun facts about Colonel Allison, because I'm in this principle and this philosophy. You need to know, like, and trust. And laughter is great. Well, let me tell you something, folks. Now, this guy's a retired Air Force colonel, and he's an engineer. He's wired for math and science. Well, let me tell you, you're talking about a funny gentleman. This gentleman will have you laughing your boots off. Don't ever be in a setting with Colonel Allison, because at that moment, he's not Colonel Allison. He is Kenn Allison, and he is just jokes, and he's joking with you, laughing at himself, laughing at others. So, my. So you're going to laugh today because Colonel Allison knows how to laugh. And with that being said, tell us something interesting and something a fun fact about Colonel Allison or Kenn Allison.
Well, I guess probably something that people wouldn't guess, since I'm like I said, Air Force officer, engineers. I love floral decorating. So, those flowers in your house, the artificial plants in your house and things like that, I truly enjoy doing that. And I think it's because I'm so cheap. So my family members know that. I'm a pretty tight guy, and my wife Shreya came to me once. We were in the store and she said, "Hey, let's buy this floral piece here." And I looked at the price of that thing and I'm like, "Oh no, we ain't buying that." I'm like, "I can make that." She said, "You can't make that." I said, "I can make that." So the engineer came out in me. I bought a book and I became really interested in floral decorating. So if you ever come to my house and look at some of my stuff, that is probably one of the interesting facts that you would have never guessed. And so I had spent a lot of time in Hobby Lobby and Michael's with my 50% off coupon, trying to get a great deal, trying to get a great deal on STEM. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness! Did you hear what he said? His 50% off coupon. Now
right.
This gentleman is a retired colonel.
Now I can just use my phone. I've upgraded my phone. I had an iPhone 4 for many years and an iPhone 6. And so. Here recently, I just bought myself an iPhone 12, so I am cooking with gas, and now I could just use I don't need the paper coupon. I got the phone coupon, so I'm good to go.
Oh my! I hope you guys got all that. Now, since you do all this floral decoration, are you doing any type of house calls? Are you helping other people out? Are you guys starting what I call floral decoration business?
No, I have to say no. And okay. I don't plan to do that.
Okay. Well, because you might get some requests based on this broadcast today.
Next question.
See, I told you, you're going to laugh. You're going to laugh. Okay, next question. With that being said, being from East Texas, Carthage, Texas, what is your favorite dessert?
Probably, I like them all. And I got my VA appointment next Monday, and they probably going to tell me that I like them all too much. But I guess my favorite would be mint chocolate chip ice cream. I love mint chocolate chip ice cream. So
mint chocolate chip ice cream.
Mint chocolate chip ice cream. That is my favorite.
Okay. Do you need to put your address screen so people can email you or send you mint chocolate chip ice cream? Is that come from Bluebell, or is that what
I take it from any place? I like it from Bluebell and all the other different brands, and so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
So you guys,
I'm brand inclusive. Brand inclusive. I'll take any brain.
You know why? You know why he's brain inclusive? Because he's cheap.
Yeah.
That's why he doesn't care.
As my dad used to, I even take the iced milk stuff, long as it's milk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I know you have traveled the world. You have been a lot of great places.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of phenomenal things. But what is your favorite vacation spot as you have traveled the world?
Oh, well. Shreya may be listening, and she, had to be authentic. Because if I gave an answer, she said, "You lying. We never go on vacation. We never go on vacation." Haven't said that. I did take the family. We went to New York a few years ago, had a great time. And I promised my mother-in-law, soon as this COVID stuff is kind of over, or at least that is, I call it more safe, because I don't know if it's ever be over. I'm going to take her and my bunch back to New York because we had a great time there. I visited Guam and places like that. But again, that is one of the things that Shreya always on. Like, we don't go on enough vacation. But having said that, 2 years ago, for the first time, I almost been married 36 years, for the first time ever, without kids, Shreya and I went to an amusement park, Disney World or Land, whichever one down in Florida. I think that's World. Yeah, Florida World. And it was amazing not to have kids with us, not to worry about, I'm hungry, I got to go to the bathroom, I don't want to ride this ride. We didn't have to worry about any of that stuff. And actually, we smiled at others that were in that predicament.
That is a good moment when you have that empty nest mindset, when you have that empty nest, just you and your wife and just go.
Right.
Well, obviously, Shreya, you got a trip coming to New York, and I'm going to hold him accountable to that. I'm going to remind him that you have a trip coming to New York. No grandkids and no adult children, just you and Shreya.
Yeah.
Well, good deal. Let me ask you this question. So we dive in more and more seriously now.
Okay.
What you consider your driving force though in your life? What really just drives you and gives you the energy and spark?
To basically to make a impact and to help others. I when I decided to retire, that became my focus. I was going to go back and be a DoD contractor in the space business, and I really took some time out to reflect on what I truly wanted to do and the impact that I wanted to make. It was focused on helping our young adults, helping our young men and women achieve their career goals and become better men and women. And that's kind of what drives me today is how can I continue to develop myself so I'm better able to develop them.
I like that statement. And that goes to back what I said in my introduction. It said the first order of business is learn to lead yourself so you can lead others. In developing yourself, that's one of my serious questions. You got serious on me already. I didn't want to go serious yet, but that's absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct. As you continue to develop yourself, you can also develop others. And I got Sister Pat saying, "Good morning, Brother Ken. Keep looking handsome." I got Nella Walls online saying, "Good morning." Charcy is online saying hello. James Ellis out of San Antonio, Texas. He's online. So thank you for listening to the Kenn Allison. So you have a following already. And now someone may be making
also, Jeff, I hate to interrupt, but I also say, congratulations to you. This is a major thing. East Texas boy, now we're on Facebook and LinkedIn and Win with Willie and Jeff Willie Leadership. You have a vision and you're taking the steps necessary to achieve that vision. So congratulations to you. And again, thanks for having me. The only issue that I have is I know you had my brother Kerry on before you had me on. I got a little problem with that, but I know you guys are hosting Thanksgiving, so we could talk about that then.
Okay.
But
all right.
I'll let that go for now.
You let it go for now. Do you forgive me?
I forgive you.
All right, you forgive me. Kerry,
long as you don't allow it to happen again, right?
Okay, all right. I remember that. You did, according to the birth order, you did come before Kerry.
There you go.
I apologize. So I got the dates. I got the dates mixed up a little bit, but I will do better. As I get older, the better I get. So
There
I
you go.
am trying to
Lesson learned.
lesson learned. Thank you, Colonel. Senior Master Sergeant Willie, salute, sir. I
All
tell
right.
you, folks, this gentleman
Okay.
will keep you laughing. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let's segue
Okay.
into some leadership issues and
All right.
leadership concerns and
Okay.
leadership, being proactive in leadership. Tell the listeners about your leadership journey and how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah. Great question. And I guess that journey probably started in that little, 3-bedroom house with the 9 of us in there, up on the hill in Fair Play, and watching, because leadership is contextual. So watching how mom and dad led, and then you could kind of expand that to that little Baptist church that was just up the road from us. And, again, watching the leaders in our church, and, from the pastors to the deacon to the ushers to Sunday school, how did they lead and learning from them and being a good follower, and then I guess I arrived here at, well, in high school, I take a step out. In high school, I was the student council president when I was a senior in high school. And I hate to say, Jeff, I thought about what did I accomplish as a student council president. And I have to admit, I probably wasn't a good leader because I can't remember one thing.
Okay.
I can't remember one thing that I accomplished. So it probably was more of a titled position that I was interested than making a difference. I think at that point in time, it was more about I than it was about we, because I can't remember anything that I truly accomplished. So from high school, when it came here to Texas A&M University, member of the Corps of Cadets, which is, of course, a premier leadership development organization. Did I say it was a premier leadership development
Yes,
organization?
you, sir.
Let me
Premier.
say it again. The Corps of Cadets is a premier leadership development organization. And I got the opportunity to learn to follow as a freshman cadet, and then also opportunities to lead my peers and learn about, leadership in my Air Force ROTC courses and apply what I learned in the context of the Corps cadets and really realize how hard it is to lead your peers. It is hard because they know where all the skeletons are in the closet. They know all the things that you did as a freshman cadet that perhaps maybe no one else did. And how do you lead them? How do you hold them accountable? You know, I had some opportunities for success there and opportunities to try things where I failed. And all of those situations was an opportunity for me to learn. But again, as I look back on it, I still think at that time, it was more about me as an I leader, what I call an I leader, than me as a we leader. And I think that started to change once I got commissioned as a young officer into the Air Force. And I started understanding the bigger impacts from a mission accomplishment, from a task perspective of my leadership, and also being surrounded by tremendous mentors. I share a quick story with you. I was in training on a satellite operations crew. We were in charge of the GPS satellites. I'm sure everybody out there know what GPS is, and so we were in charge of those satellites and making sure that the data that they sent down was, the best as it possibly could be. And one day during my training, we took a training break, and I was playing cards on crew. And one of the more senior officers, African American young lady named Betty Slade, and Betty knows I always share this story, came in and she looked at me and she did this. We all know what that means. Come here. And she asked me a bunch of why questions and a bunch of really tough questions. And like, she said, what are you doing, playing cards on crew? Why are you playing cards on crew? Do you know everything there is to learn about a GPS satellite system? No, ma'am. Then one question she asked me that was truly kind of helped me get back on track, because I knew what track I should have been on. I just got off track for a while. She said, don't you know you are a young black officer? That's what she said to me. And that really, after that day, I made a recommitment to be, again, the best satellite operator, the best satellite engineer, the best leader that I possibly could be. And a lot of people, there's a whole bunch of other people who saw us playing cards. What did they say? They didn't say anything. So it's Betty Slade in her leadership, her taking the initiative, wanting to make a difference, kind of saw where I was and wanted to make sure that through her leadership, I ended up somewhere differently. And so at that point, I started really focusing more on, I call it the we leadership, right? Being more of a servant leader, helping others, right? So I progressed up through there, had a lot of great assignments, a lot of great leadership opportunity. And each and every one of those, I try to focus on a couple of things. One, increasing my knowledge, increasing my skills so I could, again, be a better leader and being able to better support the men and women, primarily the airmen that was placed under my charge to accomplish the things that the Air Force had asked us to do. All the way up to a vice wing commander at a Schriever Air Force Base. Great opportunity there, very large responsibilities. And then I applied to come full circle because in the fall of 1981, 40 years ago, I was a freshman again in Corps of Cadets. And I went into my professor of aerospace studies, my commander of Air Force ROTC, because I needed financial help to stay at Texas A&M University. And he told me, he says, Kenneth, if you're an engineer, if you make good grades, we could get you an Air Force ROTC scholarship. His name's Colonel Henry Hill. So I told Colonel Hill, I said, sir, I could make grades if I could get that scholarship. Right. So fast forward now. So in the fall of 2010, so I was now the new Colonel Hill. So his office was now my office. And I had the opportunity now to serve and lead cadets who were, interested in going into the Air Force. So tremendous responsibility, tremendous opportunity, and to develop them. What skills do we need from our Air Force officers? Yeah, we need them to be great leaders. We need them to be great communicators. We need them to be great team members. We need them to be great critical thinkers, adaptable, resilient. The key skills that we're looking for in our young men and women in the Air Force. Then I decided to retire, right? And again, I think I told part of that story. Instead of me going into the space business, I chose an opportunity where I could continue to help develop students. So that's kind of my, a synopsis of my journey, but it's been full of opportunities to learn, opportunity to increase my skill, but more importantly, opportunities to help develop others while trying to accomplish the mission and the task that we have been given.
And Colonel Allison, what I'm hearing, and I'm just paraphrasing, you have a character of servant leadership. You definitely needed that mentor to put you back on track, to challenge your thinking. And that mentor, back when you were playing cards on duty, because I had an opportunity to play cards on duty when I was active duty Air Force as well, and then somebody challenged you to better yourself. Now, full circle here is 2021, because someone took the time to invest in you and saw the potential in you, and now here you are at 2021, back at the institution that started your leadership journey, recognizing the potential in these young men and women that are considering being military officers, and now you taking time to invest in them in the same office where Colonel Hill that had when you were a Corps cadet and you share in that office as that Corps commander for those young men and women. What a heart of servant leadership. What a heart of paying the dividends back. As we say, we can pay it forward, or we can reach back and help someone else climb that ladder. And the responsibility of all leaders is to provide an environment and an opportunity for others around us to flourish. We have to leave a legacy. And I believe Colonel Allison is leaving a legacy that we all will be an impact on this world for many generations to come. I thank you for your service, sir. As we say, we can pass the plate or we can drop the mic, but either or.
Well, that was a great synopsis. I think you said it much better than I did, brother-in-law. But you definitely hit the key points. Definitely at this point in my career, and again, I think we all should have an opportunity to reflect on: is it about us or is it about others?
It's
And what
about
is the
others.
true definition of being a selfless leader? Because every day, each and every day, we have an opportunity to observe what selfish leadership looks like. And I think none of us want to use that as our model of a leadership model. We want to, strive towards being more selfless leaders.
Selfless leaders.
Right.
Talk to me about, you're at the Hollingsworth Center for Ethical Leadership.
Yep.
And obviously leadership needs to be defined as ethical. And of course, one of the terminologies or the definitions I use for leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And you just talked about selfless versus selfish leadership. But the center is named the Hollingsworth Center for Ethical Leadership. And give me the mission behind that ethical leadership. And I have an idea what ethical is all about, but I want you to define to my audience.
Okay. Well, let me start, before I start with ethical leadership, let's start with just leadership, right? And I know, and I really like the, a key component of your definition with respect to influence, but, and I am a visual kind of learner. So I want to kind of maybe paint a picture for the audience today. It's the same approach I use in my classroom, and I find it effective with my students. And it's think about leadership as a four-legged table. And that tabletop, right? The tabletop is called leadership. So what are the pillars, right? What are the legs, in this case, of that table? Because we all know what happens, right? If your leg, of a four-legged table, if one of them is shorter than the other one, the thing becomes wobbly. If one of them missing, it have a tendency to topple over. And if leadership is your tabletop, if one of these legs is, shorter than the other one or missing or anything like that, then your ability to lead becomes, in jeopardy. It's placed in jeopardy. So what are those legs? Let's start with authenticity, being authentic, all right? In these texts, most of us call that's being genuine, right?
Genuine, yes, sir.
Being
yes,
genuine.
Sir.
What does that mean? I like to explain it like this. It's when what we know in our head is aligned with what we feel in our heart, and that's aligned with what we say and what we do, right? What we know is right in our head, what we feel is right in our heart, is aligned with what we say and what we do. That's being genuine, right? But to me, that's not enough, because there's some genuinely bad folks out there, Joe. They know bad stuff in their head, they know bad stuff in their heart, bad stuff come out of their mouth, and their actions are bad. So being authentic in itself, right? We normally assume when we say someone's authentic, we assume the positive aspect of that, okay?
Absolutely.
As opposed to, but we also know there's the flip side of that. There are some authentically evil, authentically bad people. So another leg of this table is being intentional in everything we do. And as we know, that means having a purpose behind it, right? Having a purpose behind our leadership approach, having a purpose behind everything that we do in life, right? Has a purpose behind it, a stated purpose. The other thing is the third leg we talk about, values. Okay, being values-based. That's how we take that authentic person with a purpose, right? And really add a tremendous foundation of values, the things that we deem as important. In the Air Force, we had our values, right? Integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. Those are our Air Force values. At Texas A&M, right? Respect, excellence, loyalty, leadership, integrity, and selfless service. Those are our core values here at Texas A&M. So what are your values, right? From a leadership standpoint, what are your values? And the last leg of that four-legged table, so we have authenticity, being genuine, intentionality, being very purposeful, values, what are the important things, are in our life, and then being competent, right? Being competent. And being competent means have two primary aspects to it. Being competent means you have the knowledge and you have the skills. Knowledge and skills, right? Because when we go to the doctor, we want to make sure they're competent, right? Just because they have the skills and they don't have the knowledge, it may not be the best doctor to go to, right? Or auto mechanic, or in this case, a leader. Just because you have the skills, but if you don't have the requisite knowledge, are you competent? And what are the other competencies do you bring to the table? And right, are you a competent critical thinker? Are you a competent problem solver? Are you a competent communicator? Right. So are you a competent teammate? So those are the 4 legs of that leadership table. So on the top of that table, you talked about some of the key components of leadership, Jeff. Leadership is a process, right? Leadership is a process. Sometimes that process is transactional. Sometimes that process is transformational. It truly changes the culture of an organization or the fundamental who I am as a person. And that process involves change. I drew a little triangle because in math, the triangle indicates change. Okay, leadership is about change. I am in a specific situation now or a context now, and then through leadership, hopefully I'm achieving the tasks and goals that I set forward. So now I am in a different place than I started in. Influence. You talked about that, Jeff. Influence. That influence could be inspirational. It could be motivational. It also could be directed, right? If I direct you to do something, that is an influence. Now, if you think about a ladder of influence, a ladder with the different rungs on a ladder, think about that. Directing is at the bottom rung. It is the lowest form of influence to direct you. Let me give you a kind of example. Although Alexa is not a person, but just say Alexa was a person, right? With respect to directing. This morning, Alexa went off and I said, Alexa, right? The alarm went off. I say, turn off that alarm. What did Alexa do? Turn off that alarm, right? Right. So from a directing, standpoint, if you could direct people to accomplish, right, a specific task or a specific a mission, right? But again, that is the lowest rung of leadership. How do we motivate them, right? And to me, one of the highest rungs is how do we inspire them, right? Inspire them, right? Okay. So process is about influence. Leadership is about people. I said earlier, if Alexa were real, because you cannot lead tables and chairs and furniture and equipment and cars and assembly lines and all that kind of stuff. Those may be management function. Those may deal with resources. Leadership is about people. Leadership is a people business, right? I think I saw that on your introduction video. Leadership is a people business, right? So it's a process. It's about influence. It's about people. Right? Leadership normally occurs in groups, but as you identified, Jeff, there is a true concept called self-leadership. Mm-hmm. How do we lead ourselves, right, to accomplish a specific mission, task, right? Other thing, leadership is about goals, or there's a purpose to it, right? Why are we trying to accomplish a mission? Why are we trying to accomplish a task? That's the goal, right? So process, influence, people, goals, right? Now let's bring in that ethical part, because you could do all of that. Process, you could have influence people to accomplish a specific goal, right? And it could be what we call bad leadership. Just think about our world situation that we're in. And throughout history, there are some people who have, right, led people to do some truly awful things. That's called bad leadership. And that's where the ethical part come in, right? Because what are ethics about? Ethics about those shared standards, shared principles, right? That normally groups, right, have agreed to follow. So if you look in like the medical career field, there's ethics. The law career field, there's ethics. And leadership, those are ethics. And a lot of times those also are derivatives of our values. Because if you take our values and you turn those into principle statements, for instance, let's take integrity. And we could turn integrity, we could make a principle statement out of the value of integrity. Mm-hmm. For instance, I will always tell the truth. Is that a principle statement that you want to make, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Sometimes that's a hard one, right? I will always tell the truth. That's a hard principle to live by. Would you agree there with me, bro? Long?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because if you don't think so, when Shirley say, "How does these shoes look on my feet?" and you say, "I will always tell the truth," right?
I know what you're going to say. Absolutely. Yeah.
So you have to be careful with making these principle statements, right? But they also form, right, important aspects of our ethics, right, that we live by. So you take those two things, our norms, our principle statements, our shared standards that we have agreed, right, to use as
Governors.
for our leadership, right? That becomes ethical leadership, and that becomes good leadership is values based, and good leadership is ethical. And good leadership is focused on the greater good.
The greater good. That's another moment we can pass the plate. This going to be a big plate. This plate's going to be full by the time we finish with Colonel Allison. It's going to be full. I'm going to need some help to carry this plate out of the room and going to the back.
Just have my sister put hers in the plate. She puts those big offers in, so that's.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to just drop the mic today. We're not going to pass the plate. So we don't want to challenge our audience to make a donation. We just want to drop the mic and go home. Absolutely. Right. Being authentic, being purposefully, intentionally, value-based, competent, character-based, setting those values based on what's going on. I like what you said. What's our mind connected to the heart, there's a line. And then what the issues of life comes out of the heart.
Yep.
And if those heart is based on character-based, value-based, servant leadership, treating those the way that I want desire to be treated, and that's about serving people. And then if you are on the mindset and the goal and the mission to serving people, you will become competent in your craft. You will start developing yourself because, as I stated in my intro, I cannot give what I do not have.
Right. And that's the point.
Go ahead,
that's
Ken.
That's the point, brother-in-law, because you have to be willing to put in the work.
Have to put in the work.
You have to put in the work because, a lot of people, they consider leadership all about skills, and they forget the incredible knowledge that's required to continue to help you continue to develop those skills. So,
and what I like what you said, you basically touch on some of my coaching curriculum in regards to people trying to grow in a business, but not willing to grow themselves, to be able to understand some of those habits that may have that hinder them from prospering and growing in their business because of what? Lack of self-discipline, lack of authenticity, lack of growing themselves, lack of the mindset, having an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset. And those are not tangible, those are intangible, and those are internal, not externally. And so growing yourself, it becomes an internal discipline. And so I like that. My goodness, I'm just paraphrasing. You just said it all. And matter of fact, when you finish writing your book, I'll be the first one to buy one. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Let me ask you this, because I want to make sure I got a special recognition I want to close with. I want to have you talk about it towards the end. But what is something you wish, maybe not. No, let me just phrase it this way. I think you kind of touched on it, but you are empowering and you are mentoring these young leaders. What are the qualities do you look for in these young leaders to help promote them and move them forward? What are you looking for? I think you just talked about it, but just give me some other ideas or qualities that you're looking for that you can easily recognize or you expect these young leaders to embody.
Yeah, and that's actually my program here that I do for the Corps cadets, Jeff. And we focus on, 12 what we call core competencies, right? And as you know from Texas A&M, the number 12 is revered, 12th man, and so we have 12 competencies that we help, our cadets and the students that we interact with, develop. And I touched on a lot of those already, but let me kind of really quickly, being an ethical leader, understanding what a professional and what professionalism and work ethic mean, being a good communicator, not only from a verbal standpoint, but also from a non-verbal standpoint, and something I think we all perhaps could work on every day, and we still won't get to where we want to be by being a good listener. How do I be a good listener? Also, how do I be a good critical thinker? Just because I read it on Facebook doesn't mean that is true. So how do I become a good critical thinker and understand the need for multiple sources of data, and how do I analyze and interpret information that can lead to perhaps my follow-on actions, or for example, solving problems, right? How do I develop myself with respect to my career, and how do I develop others? Again, how do I work in a team? How do I utilize technology? Right? Do I respect and include others? That's another one of those competencies. Do I respect and include others? Or how do I respect and include others? That's a skill that I look for, all right? And do I use that old adage, which I don't particularly care for? People have to earn my respect. And I know this is a Kenn Allison thing. I think that's one of the dumbest things you could say, to be honest with you. Okay. From the initial time I meet you, Jeff Willie, I'm gonna give you my respect. There's nothing you have to. I'm gonna give you my respect, right? So some people, I think it makes them maybe feel more powerful. You have to earn I'm gonna give it to you, and hopefully you will give me yours. And together we're gonna go on a journey where the depth of respect that we have for each other is gonna increase, right? That's the journey, and the way it's gonna increase, because when I first meet you, the mode I would use is I'm gonna treat you the way I want to be treated. That's when I first meet you. But after I get to know you, maybe I need to treat you the way that you want to be treated, because maybe the way that I want to be treated, maybe it's not the right way that you want to be treated. So I have to take that next step from treat people the way that you want to be treated to treat people the way that they want to be treated. Because I may have learned some bad habits along the way.
Absolutely.
I may have learned some bad habits that I interrupt, and I'm too directive and things like that, and I treat you like that. That may not be respecting you in the way that you want it to be, right? Am I adaptable? I look for our young men and women to be adaptable. I look for them to be resilient, right? They could get knocked down, but they have the ability and the desire to get back up. I look for them to be physically and mentally well, right? And especially from a mentally well standpoint, a lot of times, especially way back in the day, mental wellness or mental struggles was looked at as a weakness, right? So if I admitted to you, man, I'm going through some mental challenges, you looked at it as it being weak, when it's truly me admitting to you is a strength. And to take the next step to get some help is an additional strength. And the last thing is, and it's not a competency that really is organic. Our Cortex, and it's not organic to a lot of organizations, is being financially literate. Boy, I wish, I'd have known as good at what I know now about being financially literate, right? Understanding how money works and understanding the key thing. As you think about it, most of our students that I interact with today, they don't know anything about it. They don't need to know a lot about it, maybe a checkbook, but they do need to understand about balancing their bank accounts and all that thing. But having a physical device called a checkbook, man, that's
that's antiquated. That's old school.
Yeah, exactly. But what does financial literacy mean, and how to apply financial management skills? Because that's going to help them in their personal life, and it's also going to help them in their professional career. So those are the kind of the 12 core competencies that we focus on. And as you know, those are what us old folks call life skills. I look for them having life skills, right? Whether you're in a relationship, you should have the ability to think critical and ability to communicate, right? Whether you're in a corporate, environment, respect and inclusion enhances leadership, right, and teamwork. So those are the competencies.
Respect. I like what you shared, and I totally agree with you. But you shouldn't have to earn my respect. I should automatically give you my respect. I need to model respect. I have these, as you know, I've taught Air Force Junior ROTC for 15 plus years. And I'll get some educators sometimes will say, my students need to earn my respect. And sometimes they'll ask the student, what does respect look like? I said, students can't necessarily define respect, but they need to see respect. They need to feel respected. And the way they know what respect is, that you model respect in front of them and respect towards them.
Right.
And then you hoping that they will reciprocate based on you modeling that respect. One of the core values that I talk about in some of my workshops is talking about the value of 10. When I meet Kenn Allison, if I'm giving you my respect, I see you as a 10.
Right. Exactly.
I see you as
Right.
a 10. And now
I'm going to treat you fairly,
Mhm.
and I'm going to treat you with dignity. And the dignity aspect of that is every human has value.
Every human
Right?
has
Every
value.
human has value, right? So that is the base. That's the foundation that we're going to start with that. And then as we developed a relationship, again, there's a spectrum of respect, and our respect deepens because now we know each other better. We know each other's life stories. We able to meet people where they are and advance from there.
That's right. One of the 7 habits of the highly effective people by Stephen Covey, I believe it's habit number 5. It says, seek first to understand, and then you will be understood. So you seek first. I need to understand you first. I am giving of myself first. And that's all servant leadership and selfish engagement. Absolutely. Well, Colonel Allison, I got one more question, then we're going to end this broadcast with a special recognition. Okay. But what if there was a book written about you, what would the title be and what would be said?
I think you know what that title would be, brother-in-law. It's a part of it's pretty simple for me. I think the title would be Hard Work Pays Off After a While, right? That would be the title of the book, and that has kind of been my driving force for a mighty long time. And the only thing now that I would add a little bit different to that is I would add the one of the first chapters that I would include in that book would be a chapter on opportunity, right? And how that opportunity, all your hard work, right, and plus opportunity, right? There's no stopping you, right? So, now, and I know the next part of this is what would be on the back, right? That's what you're going to ask, right? What would be on the back of that book? If you read back, it would say, imperfect and flawed, but still a good man. Imperfect and flawed, but still a good man. And then perhaps below that, there's a spiritual that we all used to sing. You know what I'm talking about, Jeffrey. Say, if anyone should ever write my life story, for whatever reason there might be, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Jesus is the what?
The way, the
right,
truth.
is the answer for me. So yeah. So I think that would be it for me. So
that would be it.
Yeah.
Flawed, imperfect, but I would caveat and say, you said a good man, I would say a great man.
Well, I appreciate that, brother.
When I'm talking about Kenn Allison, I'm saying a great man. I am saying a great man. You probably heard several times. Yes, he did call me brother-in-law. That's absolutely several times. He said that, but absolutely. Let me ask you this question. I'm going to read this narrative, and you're going to give me a summation of this narrative.
Okay.
Something that's happening in the month of December of 2021 at Texas A&M University. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to this, and then I'll let Colonel Allison elaborate. Colonel, congratulations, Colonel Allison. Another one of the 2021 Aggie Impact Gala honorees. Colonel Allison is a global pioneer and extensive experience in space operation, engineering, and acquisition in the Department of Defense, National Reconnaissance Office, Air Force Inspection, Space and Missile Center Oversight, and a full professor at Texas A&M Aerospace Program. You are being recognized into Impact Gala on December 4th, 2021, under the former Black students of Texas A&M University. Kind of share with my audience, what's that all about?
Okay. Yeah, under the Association of Former Students here at Texas A&M, there are constituent networks, right? And one of those is the Black Former Student Network. And our mission is to recruit and retain Black students and faculty and staff members for Texas A&M University. And a part of that is we like to award those students, give them financial support and award scholarships, and as a part of our recruitment and retention efforts. And our Aggie Impact Gala is one of the opportunities that we use as a fundraiser, and also the opportunity to recognize the accomplishments of Black former students. And so that's what that. And I'm being one of the been honored. I don't know. I looked at the group, and this East Texas boy, I'm not sure if he belongs in that group, but it's a true honor for me to be recognized. But however, the impact that the Black Former Student Network is making is how do we contribute to the diversity, to the inclusion of Texas A&M University. We are a state institution, and we want to make sure that we do our part to help Texas A&M University better reflect the state of Texas. We've come a mighty long way, Jeffrey, but we have ways to go. And I'm happy to be a part of the Black Former Student Network and this initiative to help Texas A&M along that path.
Amen. Amen. I am so very fortunate that you guys can probably see there's A&M behind Ken, there's A&M behind me, but I got another. We're not going to talk about the other thing that's behind me. We're just going to talk about the A&M football that's behind me. And it's not about the football. It's about what Colonel Allison talked about. It's about student achievement and success of diversity and inclusion at Texas A&M University to reflect the diversity and inclusion of the state of Texas. So I'm so proud that my wife and I have I have two daughters that have graduated from Texas A&M University, and the legacy and the lineage started with this gentleman on the screen, class of 1985, and he is being recognized in the Black Stormer Students Network at the Impact Gala coming up in December of 2021. Colonel Allison, let me say thank you for the opportunity to interview you today, to hear your leadership perspective, all the great things you're doing, not only nationally, but also globally, and how you impacting the next generations of leaders. I honor you, sir, even though you're my brother-in-law, but I still honor you. And that book would say great, flawed, imperfect, but also great. Let me challenge my audience, please. Your comments are highly welcome. For those who've been commenting on Facebook, thank you for tuning in today. For those who are listening on YouTube, please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I want folks to be part of this continual broadcast, because every week we come live and in living color on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And guess what? Next week, we have a person in Cameroon, West Africa, by the name of Marcel Tunga. She's the Opportunity Network Director and Innovative Coordinator for SIL International. She will be here live and living color next Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. You want to tune in. You certainly want to tune in. So this is my YouTube channel that's on there. You got my website that's screaming below. But please subscribe to my YouTube channel and listen to these phenomenal leaders that I am exposing the world to. We all lead from different places and from different professions, but leadership is all about serving people. Leadership is influence, nothing more or nothing less. So thank you for tuning in today. And please, I will see you next week, same time, and live in color. And we will not ask you to pass the plate.